Every woman in Lekki envied Adanna. Her husband, Tunde Williams, was the type of man they prayed for in night vigils. Tall, handsome, wealthy, soft-spoken. He showered Adanna with gifts, sent her surprise flowers at work, even washed her car himself on weekends. At weddings, people pointed at them as the perfect couple, the kind that looked plucked from a romantic movie. "Not only Adanna they enjoy this life," her colleagues would whisper. And truly, Adanna felt blessed. She had married a man who never raised his voice, never came home drunk, and never embarrassed her in public. But behind his charming smile, there were shadows she didn't yet understand. It all began one Friday night. They were hosting a dinner party for a few friends. Tunde had set the dining table with imported cutlery, Italian wine, and a spread of food that made the women gush. Laughter filled the air. "Adanna, you are lucky, oh," her friend Chica teased. "If na my husband, I no fit even fry egg without burning it. Look at Tunde. He is serving us like waiter." Everyone laughed. Tunde smiled humbly, but Adanna noticed something strange. His phone kept buzzing. He would step aside, whisper sharply into it, then return with the same calm face. Later that night, after the last guest had gone, Adanna entered the kitchen to clear the plates. That was when she saw it. A faint splash of red on Tunde's white shirt cuff. She frowned. "Baby, did you cut yourself?" Tunde glanced at his sleeve, then quickly pulled it down. His smile was calm. "Oh, must be wine," he said smoothly. "You know how clumsy Chica is when she's drunk." Adanna nodded, but unease pricked her heart. The stain hadn't looked like wine. That weekend she visited her mother. As they sat peeling a goosey in the kitchen, Mama lowered her voice. "Adanna, you sure say you know your husband well." Adanna laughed nervously. "Mama Abik, everybody knows Tunde. He's perfect." Mama sighed. My daughter, sometimes the sweetest mango get worm inside. Shine your eyes." Adanna brushed it aside, but her mother's words clung to her mind like smoke. That night she woke around 2 a.m. to an empty bed. The bathroom light was off. The house was silent. She padded barefoot down the stairs and froze. From the direction of the basement came a low hum, a sound like machinery, and then faintly a woman's muffled scream. Her blood ran cold. She crept closer, heart thudding. But before she could touch the door, it opened. Tunde stepped out. His face was calm, but sweat drenched his forehead. He carried a small cooler box in his hand. Adanna gasped. "Tunde? What are you doing down there?" He blinked, then smiled. "Work call. Emergency. One of my clients needed supplies urgently. I didn't want to wake you." He brushed past her, kissed her forehead, and whispered, "Go back to sleep, my love. You worry too much." She obeyed, but her chest tightened. For the first time, she realized she didn't know what her husband really did at night. On Sunday, they attended church together. Tunde dropped fat bundles of cash into the offering basket. The pastor prayed loudly for him. Members clapped. "Daddy Tunde, cheerful giver," the pastor hailed. Everyone smiled, but Adanna's eyes never left her husband. He looked so holy, yet the memory of that muffled scream in the basement haunted her. By Tuesday, another strange thing happened. Their maid, Uju, came to Adanna in tears. "Madam, a beg. I no fit continue this work," she whispered, wringing her hands. Adanna frowned. "Why, did I offend you?" Uju shook her head violently. "No be you, madam, but Oga they do things for night. I hear wet and I no suppose hear. People they cry for down, for that basement. Adanna's heart skipped. "What are you talking about?" Before Uju could explain further, Tunde entered the kitchen. His smile was polite, but his eyes glinted. "Is there a problem here?" Uju froze. Adanna opened her mouth, but Tunde cut her off. "Adanna, please give us a minute." She hesitated, then stepped out. Moments later, Uju left the house with her bags packed, face pale with fear. Tunde told Adanna calmly, "She said her mother is sick in the village. I gave her money to go. We'll find another maid." Adanna nodded, but suspicion gnawed at her. Uju's eyes had screamed something else. The following night, Adanna couldn't sleep. Tunde was out on business. Curiosity burned inside her. She tiptoed to the basement door. To her surprise, it was locked with a new heavy padlock. Her hand trembled as she touched it. Why would her husband lock a basement in their own home? Suddenly, headlights flashed outside. Tunde's car. Adanna hurried back upstairs, dove under the covers, and pretended to sleep. Moments later, he slipped into bed beside her. His body was warm, but she shivered as though lying beside a stranger. The next day, she visited her friend Chica. As they chatted over soft drinks, Chica leaned closer. "Adanna, no vex. But your husband dey do business with some politicians, way no pure. People dey talk say he dey supply them. Unusual things." Adanna's stomach nodded. "Unusual things? Like what?" Chica shrugged nervously. "I no sabi details, but my cousin way dey hospital say sometimes body parts go missing from the morgue. And people they mention Tunde name for corner talk." Adanna's hand shook so badly her glass nearly fell. Could it be true? Was her perfect husband hiding something monstrous? That night, as she lay awake, she whispered a prayer. "God, if there's something I don't know, reveal it to me." But part of her was terrified of what that revelation might cost. Adanna couldn't stop thinking about Uju's words. People dey cry for down, for that basement. Every time she walked past the locked door, her heart raced. What lay behind it? And why had her husband, so open with every other part of the house, suddenly shut her out of that one space? One night, curiosity consumed her. Tunde had left again for a late business meeting. She waited until his car disappeared down the street, then slipped quietly downstairs. The padlock gleamed under the hallway light. Her fingers trembled as she touched it. Locked. Solid. She bent low, peering into the tiny gap under the door. She smelled something sharp, a faint metallic tang that made her stomach churn. "Blood!" She staggered back, covering her mouth. Her chest tightened with fear. Before she could process it, headlights flashed outside. Tunde's car. Her heart nearly stopped. She ran upstairs, dove onto the bed, and forced her breathing to slow. Moments later, he entered, humming softly as if nothing was wrong. But Adanna couldn't sleep. All night, she stared at him, wondering, who is this man I married? The next day, she made a decision. If Tunde wouldn't open the basement, she would find another way. She contacted an old friend, Kunle, who worked as a locksmith. "Kunle," she whispered over the phone, "I need you to help me open a lock. But you can't tell anyone." Kunle chuckled. Madam, hope it's not to enter your husband's safe, oh?" Her voice trembled. Something like that. They set a time for the weekend when Tunde would be out. But fate had other plans. That Friday night, Tunde came home unusually early. Adanna was in the kitchen when she heard the front door slam. She peered into the living room and froze. Tunde was not alone. He walked in with a young woman, slender, barely in her 20s, dressed as though for an interview. She looked nervous, clutching her handbag tightly. Tunde? Adanna's voice shook. Who's this? Tunde's smile was calm. A business associate. She's here for a consultation. Go upstairs, love. I'll handle this. Adanna's eyes lingered on the girl, who avoided her gaze. Something in her gut screamed that this wasn't right. But Tunde's voice was firm, leaving no room for argument. Reluctantly, she climbed the stairs. But instead of entering her bedroom, she crouched by the railing, straining to listen. She heard muffled voices, then the sound of the basement door creaking open. Her pulse raced. The girl's nervous laugh echoed faintly, followed by the heavy thud of the door closing. Silence. Adanna pressed her fist to her mouth to stop herself from screaming. What was happening down there? The house was deathly silent that night. Adanna lay in bed pretending to sleep until she felt Tunde's weight sink into the mattress beside her. He smelled faintly of antiseptic, like a hospital ward. Are you okay? He asked gently, stroking her arm. She forced a smile. Yes, I'm fine. But inside her stomach turned. Where was that girl now? The next morning, she searched the house when Tunde left for work. The girl's shoes were gone. Her handbag, too. It was as if she had never existed. Adanna's skin prickled with dread. That afternoon, she called Kunle again. Please, it's urgent. You must come today. By evening, Kunle arrived with his tools. Adanna paced nervously as he bent to work on the padlock. Madam, this lock's strong. Oh, Kunle muttered, sweat on his brow. After a few minutes, the padlock snapped open with a metallic click. Adanna's breath caught. Slowly, she pushed the door open. The smell hit her first, thick, coppery, suffocating. Her stomach lurched. She forced herself to step inside. The basement was dimly lit. At first, all she saw were metal tables, surgical instruments, and rows of coolers stacked against the wall. Then her eyes adjusted, and she froze. Inside the coolers, neatly packed in ice, were human organs, kidneys, livers, hearts. Her hand flew to her mouth as a choked scream escaped. Jesus Christ! Kunle staggered back, eyes wide with horror. Madam, wetin be this? Before she could answer, a faint sound cut through the silence. A weak, rasping voice. Help. Me. Adanna spun around. In the corner of the room, chained to a pole, lay a young woman, her clothes torn, her skin pale. Blood seeped from a wound on her side. Adanna's knees buckled. The girl's eyes locked on hers, pleading, Please, don't let him take me. Tears blurred Adanna's vision. Her perfect husband was a butcher. They heard a car door slam outside. Tunde was back. Kunle panicked. Madam, we must go. But Adanna couldn't move. Her legs were frozen, her mind spinning. Footsteps echoed above them. The basement door creaked. Tunde's calm, familiar voice floated down. Adanna, what are you doing? Her blood ran cold. The basement door creaked slowly, and Tunde's figure filled the doorway. His calm eyes flickered from Adanna to Kunle, then to the open cooler on the table. For a moment, no one moved. The silence was thick enough to choke on. Then Tunde smiled. That same gentle, charming smile he wore at church. Well, he said softly, it seems curiosity has brought us here. Adanna's heart pounded. Kunle stepped protectively in front of her, his voice shaky. Oga Tunde, I beg no vex, this na mistake. I swear I no go talk, Tunde's smile didn't fade. He descended the steps slowly, each footstep echoing against the concrete walls. Kunle, he said warmly, you're a good man. You've done your job well. But you see, his voice lowered, this basement isn't meant for everyone. Before Kunle could react, Tunde moved with terrifying speed. Something glinted in his hand, a scalpel. In one swift motion, he slashed across Kunle's neck. Adanna screamed. Kunle staggered, clutching his throat, eyes wide with disbelief as blood poured down his shirt. He collapsed onto the cold floor, twitching before going still. Adanna dropped to her knees, sobbing. Tunde, how could you— Shh! Tunde pressed a bloodied finger to his lips. His eyes were calm, as if he had merely spilled a glass of wine. You don't understand, Adanna. Everything I do is for us. He wiped the scalpel on his shirt and crouched in front of her. Do you enjoy the life we live? The cars, the house, the vacations? Do you know where the money comes from? This is it. I provide what the powerful demand. Politicians, businessmen, even pastors. They all need what I have. His smile widened. And they pay well, very well. Enough for you to live like a queen. Adanna's stomach churned. You're a monster. For the first time, his smile faltered. His voice dropped, dangerous now. No, my love. I'm a provider, and if you ever love me, you'll understand. And keep my secret. He reached out, cupping her face with his blood-stained hand. She flinched, tears streaming down her cheeks. From the corner, the half-dead girl whimpered again. Please, help me! Tunde turned sharply, his eyes narrowing. Ah, she's still alive? He rose, walking towards her with a calm, deliberate stride. He pulled a syringe from his pocket and knelt. Adanna's voice broke. Stop, don't hurt her! He glanced back at her, expression unreadable. Adanna, sometimes mercy looks like death. Would you rather she suffer longer? Her whole body shook. She wanted to scream, to throw herself between him and the girl, but fear rooted her to the ground. The needle pierced the girl's arm. Within seconds, her trembling stilled. Her chest rose and fell one last time before going silent. Adanna sobbed uncontrollably. Tunde stood wiping his hands. Then he walked slowly toward her, his shadow stretching across the blood-stained floor. You've seen too much tonight, my love. But unlike Kunle, I could never hurt you. You're my wife. You are part of me. Which means— His eyes gleamed. You must learn to live with me. He touched her chin, forcing her to meet his gaze. There is no leaving this marriage, ever. That night, Adanna barely slept. She lay stiff beside him, her mind replaying Kunle's death, the girl's final plea, the organs in the coolers. Her stomach twisted with rage and terror. But the worst came the following evening. Tunde came home early, humming softly as he carried a handbag into the living room. Adanna, he called cheerfully, I brought someone special tonight. Adanna's heart seized. She stepped into the hallway and froze. Standing by the door was her younger cousin, Nena. Barely 21, fresh from the university, smiling shyly as Tunde introduced her. She just got back to Lagos and needs guidance. I told her we'd be happy to host her for a while. Adanna's blood ran cold. Her legs nearly gave way. She stared at Nena, then at Tunde's calm, charming face, and in that moment, she knew. Her husband's next victim was someone from her own blood. Adanna's scream lodged in her throat. The perfect husband was about to become the perfect nightmare. Adanna's world was collapsing. She had just watched Kunle bleed out on the cold basement floor. She had seen organs packed away like groceries, and a young girl's life stolen with a needle. Now standing in her own living room, She realized her husband's next victim was her own blood, her innocent cousin. Nana, how long could Adanna keep silent? Could she risk confronting Tunde, knowing what he was capable of? Or would she become his accomplice? Trapped in a marriage darker than death itself? The mask of the perfect husband was slipping, and what lay beneath was terrifying. If you've been glued to this story and you want to know what happens next, if you want to see whether Adanna can save her cousin or if Tunde's secret empire will swallow them, both, then let me know in the comments. Should we bring you part 2? If yes, don't forget to like this story. Drop your thoughts below, and subscribe so you don't miss when the continuation drops.